honored to have you join us today. We're going to be recording, just to let you all know, this episode, and we're going to have the recording posted on our Institute for Sustainability website. This series is part of an ongoing webinar on Wednesdays where we feature distinguished guests like our guest today, who I'm going to introduce in a second. We started doing that in April during Earth Month. And this has been in collaboration with associated students and the Institute for Health and Wellbeing and for other partners on campus. So we're really excited to have you. We also have a Victory Garden initiative that many of you are probably part of, where we have a seed distribution program, and you're invited to participate in that. And all that information is on our website, and someone will put that in the chat box. So we'll put a link in there at some point if you want to cut and paste it and check out some of our past talks, and including this talk will be on there in the future. So I am really honored today to introduce Frida Endinjok, who is a former, she's going to be headed to Oregon State University she's just gotten to the PhD program in global health. So congratulations, Frida, we're gonna miss you. But she's a CSUN alum. She's just finished her master's in public health, and she also has a bachelor's in nutrition. And she's worked at the Maryland Magrum Center, which is right across the way from the Institute on campus for Sustainability on campus. And we've collaborated on a variety of projects, and many of you probably know of the center. They've done a lot of work around nutrition, public health, food, all kinds of issues related to environmental and food justice causes. So we are really excited to have Frida, and maybe she'll tell a little bit more about her past work with them, and then her presentation today, which has been recorded, and we're going to play it, and then we'll have a Q&A session live with Frida afterwards. Sarah, this is Sarah Johnson, who is the program analyst, the backbone of the Institute for Sustainability. Many of you probably know her. The title for today's talk is
Let Food Be Thy Medicine.
Yes. Let Food Be Thy Medicine. Beautiful, beautiful title. So Frida, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else that I missed this on your, well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. We're really honored to have you. And again, we're going to miss you, and hopefully we'll keep collaborating with you. But anything you want to add before we show your video?
Well, once again, thank you so much for inviting me and for having the opportunity to do this. I just wanted to do like a very quick disclaimer, that I know today we're going to talk about medicinal use of herbs, but I just wanted you to know that I am not a medical professional, so please don't take this as this is going to be the solution for like all your problems, but this is just like very little steps that you can do in a sustainable way to help your body to be healthier. As well, I have sort of like a little game. I was like listening to the recording, in which I'm very grateful that my dad was able to help me with. Awesome. But if you hear me say something funny, take a sip of water or tea for me. Okay. And then, most of the claims were evidence-based. So that means that I did my research on the benefits of the plants using articles and websites that give you good information. But if sometimes I say, can, will, well, no, know that I meant for it to be more like my or may, because once again, it's in the world of science, it's very hard to like really prove everything. So really take this, as a very nice alternative to use herbs, medicinal herbs, as a way to alleviate little pains in life. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for that. That's great. And then again, we'll have a Q&A after it, so I'm sure lots of folks will have questions.
So just put your questions in the chat. You can ask me questions about nutrition and gardening, the herbs, and I will be able to answer to the best of my ability.
All right. Thanks, Frida. So I guess we'll start without further ado.
We're working behind the scenes. We're going to play a video right now, watch it, and then, so feel free to type your questions in the Q&A at the bottom. You'll see a Q&A box, so that way we'll know where the questions are. And then the chat as well, if you have like audio issues or anything like that with logistics, then you can put those in the chat box, and that will go to us as well.
All right. I guess we could turn our cameras off then too, correct?
Yes.
So he doesn't have to look at me. Okay.
Let's see. Almost there.
More nutritious, it's more sustainable, and it's better for your health. So practically here I have an array of plants that I'm going to be talking about, and just so you know, I may be talking about sustainability issues when it comes to people of color. I am Mexican, so maybe I'm going to give you like the name in Spanish, or I'm going to teach you a little bit on my culture, which every single herb that I talk about. So this herb right here, this is Lemon verbena. It's one of the most popular herbs here in the wellness garden. It has a very nice smell. Hi, my name is Frida, and today I'm going to have the pleasure of talking to you about Let the Food Be Thy Medicine. So practically today we're going to be talking about the medicinal and nutritional properties of some of the herbs. First, the plants that we're about to. When we have a headache or when our tummy hurts, we always think of like, what is a medicine that I should be taking? When actually nature has given us a lot of medicine in simple herbs that actually make our food more nutritious. It's more sustainable, and it's better for your health. So practically here I have an array of plants that I'm going to be talking about, and just so you know, I may be talking about sustainability issues when it comes to people of color. I am Mexican, so maybe I'm going to give you like the name in Spanish, or I'm going to teach you a little bit on my culture, which every single herb that I talk about. So this herb right here, this is Lemon verbena. It's one of the most popular herbs here in the wellness garden. It has a very nice smell. It smells like lemon. And the most amazing property about lemon verbena is that it's actually really good for weight loss. So lemon verbena, you can just take a simple tea in the morning. Let's say that you've been trying, to lose some weight besides, following evidence-based practices such as, having a calorie deficit, but still have a well-balanced and nutritious diet. Actually, a lemon verbena tea can help you in the morning. Something that is really nice about this herb is that it provides you a lot of energy. Practically, while you are doing weight loss, one of the main concerns that we have with weight loss is muscle loss. So you want to make sure that if you're planning to lose some weight, that you're not just losing weight, but you're actually, gaining muscle and losing unhealthy weight. Also, lemon verbena has been known to be really good for congestion. So let's say that you suffer from allergies, which could be pretty popular around this time. You can just start your day with a lemon verbena tea, and it actually gives you a little kick of energy. So it's a really, really good way to start your day. So you can simply just throw the fresh leaves, as you can see in the background, into hot water, or you can actually dehydrate it. The best way to dehydrate herbs is just to leave it in a hot space. So it can be like a countertop in which it gets a lot of sunlight, or you could actually set your oven to a very low temperature, such as 150, and just dehydrate the herbs in a 2-hour span. The next plant that I'm going to be talking about is rue, or how we call it in Spanish, ruda. This was known by the ancient Romans as the herb of grace. This has to do a lot with like women's health. This is a really, really good herb actually to like stimulate menstruation. So let's say that you have a trip plan and you don't want Flo to ruin it. You could actually just have a little tea of this to actually stimulate the menstrual flow. But at the same time, if you're having trouble with menstrual cramps, you can also take a tea of rue or ruda, and it can help you. Another amazing property of the root is it's actually really good for skincare. It has properties that actually, if you know how to make soap, you could just throw a couple leaves into the soap mix, and that could be a really good mix for skincare. The next one that we're going to talk about is a very popular one. This is mint. Mint or menta in Spanish. It's really well known to improve digestion. So let's say that you're planning to have a very fatty, salty meal, and maybe you're feeling a little bit uneasy, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that. And the first thing that comes to your mind is like, oh my goodness, I need medicine for my stomach. But actually a really good solution is just to do a mint tea. It improves digestion, and it also is really good to avoiding nausea. So if you're feeling nauseous, your stomach is upset, having a tea of mint is one of the best things to do. As well, as I try to educate here in the Wellness Garden, is that if you have a headache or you tend to have migraines, maybe you want to incorporate mint as part of like your tea, so that way you can alleviate headaches. Mint is a very good herb for skincare. So you can add it to soaps, you can add it to any routine that you have. Once again, in taking it, it's a very good one. And one of the best things to also take care of your skin is with mosquitoes. So I'm gonna give you a little tip. So if you have a problem with mosquitoes, in which is actually a public health problem because it can spread some viruses, what you can do, you can just have some peppermint oil. You could just have 2 little dabs, and actually that can protect you from the mosquitoes. As well, I cannot put my finger on it, but there's really good recommendations. So maybe you're going into the pool to burn some peppermint oil because it has a natural property to just repel insects. So the next one that I want to talk about is rosemary, or how we call it in Spanish, romero. The well-known property of rosemary is that it actually boosts your memory. So as college students, I'm pretty sure that you want to ace those exams, right? So one of the things that you can do is to actually have rosemary by your place of study and just be smelling it, because it actually smells really good, and it helps to boost your memory, and as well it helps to boost your mood. So if you're having a really bad day because of finals, rosemary can be a really good solution for it. As well, it is a very sustainable plant. It is really well known to do well here in Southern California. So if you're planning to maybe turn your landscape into a more native California-friendly one, actually rosemary bushes can be a really good idea. And every time you go home, you're gonna improve your mood. Another really good property is that it actually reduces inflammation. And once again, maybe this comes to having like a very heavy meal. Rosemary is well known in the Mediterranean diet, meaning that if you're gonna have a fatty or salty meal, you can incorporate rosemary into your cooking, and it actually will reduce inflammation and stomach pain. So it's a really good additive for cooking. I know a lot of people, they like to cook meats with rosemary, such as chicken or lamb, but actually rosemary can be roasted with potatoes or with tofu, because one of the things that I would like to really encourage you for is like, maybe do not completely get rid of your meat consumption, but just in a sustainable way, a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables, and that it has less animal products tends to be healthier. The next one that I want to talk about is our famous lavender. Lavender is very well known for reducing stress, so relieving stress, and also to help you to have some restful sleep. One of the tips that I heard is that you can actually have a bundle of rosemary underneath your pillow, or maybe just to have a couple drops of the essential oil to actually help you with sleeping. At the same time, it's really good for infections. I mean, don't take me wrong, it will not be the same as taking an antibiotic, but let's say like you just cut yourself, it's a very small abrasion. Maybe you just want to rub a little bit of lavender essential oil, or maybe you also once again want to incorporate lavender into your soap making, so that way you can help with its infection properties. And as well, lavender tea can be a really good stomach soothing tea. We're gonna go to one of our favorites, and this is actually something that comes from my culture. You know, if you have like a tummy ache or your tummy hurts, usually your mom will give you té de manzanilla. So manzanilla, in Spanish, chamomile, it's a really, really well-known soothing tea or medicinal herb. As well, it is also very, very good for your skincare. So once again, soap making, lotion making, you can integrate some chamomile. It does not per se fight infections, so doesn't have antibacterial properties, but practically helps you like moisturize and, you know, keep the skin healthier and better looking. As well, for female health, it's also well known for menstrual cramps. If you're having trouble during your menstrual cycle, you could just simply take a chamomile tea, maybe with a little bit of rue or lemon verbena in order to alleviate the symptoms, rather than to take a strong medicine. So the next herb that we're gonna talk about is oregano, or in Spanish, a very easy one, oregano. It's very well known for its immune system boosting properties. I want to say that I am not a medical professional, so I'm not giving you advice that you have an autoimmune disease, oregano is gonna solve your problems. But let's say it's like allergy season, or you have like very mild symptoms, you can incorporate a little bit of oregano into your diet to make it a little bit healthier. As well, oregano is part of the Mediterranean diet. You have maybe heard that you can put it in pasta, so you can just sprinkle it. For us Mexicans, we love it on pozole. We really incorporate some oregano into our menudo, which once again is a fatty and salty meal. So actually oregano helps just protect your stomach and soothe it. And at the same time, it can improve your heart health, because actually it has been shown that it has omega-3 fatty acids, which are the good fats that you want to incorporate into your diet. The next one is actually not an herb, but when it comes to like cooking corn, once again, I'm Mexican, so corn is like in my blood. You know, we eat tortillas, we eat it all the way. And one of the things that is really sad to see is how people actually waste the corn silk, or pelos de elote. So actually, you know, I think it was like a couple months ago, I was cooking some corn and I decided to actually keep the little hair that comes with the corn. So practically this has been known actually like in Asian, you know, Mesoamerican cultures to actually help you treat UTIs. So that's really good for your kidney health. Once again, this will not substitute medical advice, but let's say that you're starting to have the symptoms of a UTI, which are, you know, painful urination, or you're going frequently, or just something isn't right as it normally is. One of the first things that you can do is, of course, start drinking cranberry juice, and also you can start drinking some tea of pelos de elote or corn silk. I talk about that is also really good for kidney health, because actually your kidneys are very much related with your blood pressure and with your cardiovascular health. So remember, we are all one organism. We're all one ecosystem within ourselves. So if one part is not really working, it's going to stress other parts of your body. So taking care of your kidney health is always an amazing idea. The next herb that we're going to talk about is going to be lemongrass. This is well known in South Asian cuisines, especially Thai food. It has a lot, of health benefits. It's always good for, let's say that you're starting to have a cold. Once again, never dismissing the medical advice, but let's say you're starting to feel a little bit under the weather. Maybe what you can do is just drink a lemongrass tea in order to boost your immunity and to help with your respiratory system. Something that I found that is really amazing about lemongrass and why you should incorporate lemongrass tea into your everyday basis, that actually some articles have shown that it helps to balance your cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, which causes heart issues, and it has been also known to have some benefits for people with type 2 diabetes. As well, it is a really good thing for a healthy skin. Something that we always say is that a good nutrition, good hydration will just show in your skin and you just be more hydrated and more youthful. And as well, lemongrass is gonna give you a really good start for your day because it helps to combat fatigue, anxiety, and body odor. So actually, if you're into making your own deodorant, lemongrass is one of the best ones. You can find it in the form of essential oils. You can have it fresh, which is ready to be added to soups or to tea, or you can actually dehydrate it for using it for tea later. Now, this is not sort of like medicinal as like you're gonna intake it as medicine, but here I have aloe vera. It has very well-known good properties for digestion. Also, something that I like to share, sort of like my little tip in which I'm gonna go into environmental justice, is that usually a lot of like people of color, people who are like low income, they tend to live very, very close to freeways or to places where there's high air pollution. That's the case for me. I unfortunately live 2 miles from a freeway, from the 405. So I have an aloe vera plant right next to where I sleep because during the nighttime, actually aloe vera acts like an air purifier and it releases amazing amount of oxygens, which will actually help you to have a restful night of sleep and also to improve your mood and your brain capacity. So practically, I have been talking about like a lot of different things that you can grow. All these herbs are adaptable for an urban garden. The only one that has sort of like a time in which you cannot grow it is chamomile. It usually does not do well during the summer. It's too hot, but you will see it thrive during the spring. Rosemary and lavender, they're California friendly. They love the heat. For mint and oregano, which are actually cousins, you will see them going dormant during the winter. So do not think that you killed your mint plant. It's just sleeping, okay? It will come back in the summer. Same thing from rue and lemon verbena, but you will not see a drastic change. And you're like, oh my goodness, I killed my plant. And one of the great things that I get as a question is like, as a person who practices gardening, I can only tell you that I have killed more plants that I have successfully grown. So never give up in the idea of having an organic herb garden so you can actually improve your health, your nutrition, and everything you do. So once again, something that I said is that it's really good to incorporate any of this as tea. Actually, tea, here I have a little baggie of green tea. Green tea is my favorite, has a lot of good properties. This is one of my favorite fun facts, is that tea, like green tea, oolong tea, and black tea, is the same plant, is the same leaf. The only thing that happens is that green tea is, it's more fresh, so it means that it has not been left for a very long time and there has not been a term for fermentation. So due to that fact, actually green tea has the highest amount of antioxidants, but the lowest amount of caffeine. Antioxidants are very important in our diet because our metabolism actually, our cells just existing, they create free radicals. We actually, you know, it can have like adverse effects in your health. One of them is actually maybe mutation into cancer cells. So I always say that when it comes to air pollution, you know, no matter how much I take care of my body or what I'm eating or what I care for, I cannot stop the trucks from going down the 405. I cannot stop people from like stop driving their diesel trucks. But the best thing that I can do is to actually protect myself by drinking 1 cup of green tea every day. So at least I can get some of those antioxidants that will fight the free radicals that come from combustion and my own metabolism. And green tea is combinable with any of these plants. And if you're like very much sensitive to caffeine and you're like, I think I can't, green tea is going to be good. But let's say that you really want a kick. In that case, maybe you want to try black tea. So black tea, once again, is the same plant. It's just that actually it has been fermented for longer time. That just means that the longer the fermentation, the lower the antioxidant. So you will get a really good caffeine boost, but you might not get the same amount of antioxidants as green tea. And if you just want to be in a healthy, balanced place, something that I actually discovered pretty recently is oolong tea. It's actually very much popular, like in Asian cultures. So I pretty much just encourage you to try oolong tea. I know a lot of boba places, they have it as a novelty. So feel free to try it as a tea. When it comes to tea, of course, you can have baggies. They are 100% compostable, more of them. I try not to buy my tea or try to buy a loose or like in this little bags because I can actually compost them. If you have loose or you have like actually dehydrated your own herbs, so even if they're fresh, you can always use a reusable one. Look how funny it is. You can use that one or you could actually use one of this, whatever works for you. So let's say that today I have inspired you to start your own herb garden. Believe me, herbs, it's one of the fastest and more rewarding plants to grow. So actually here I have an herb garden that I have turned into a little seed starter. The only thing with herbs is that the seeds are very, very small. When it comes to gardening, there's a rule of thumb that is the smaller the seed, the smaller the hole. As you should do with your nutrition labels, you should also read the labels on the packet seeds. So here it says seed depth, and it says barely covered. So practically what I do when I teach kids about gardening and how to grow herbs is that I practically tell them to just kind of sprinkle the seeds into the soil, and then just with a spray bottle, you can just spray it, and that's the way how you can take care of your herb gardens. I know that the Institute for Sustainability has been doing the victory gardens, or if you guys want to get your own seeds, I can guarantee it, herbs are one of the easiest things to grow. It can be in an apartment. They do not need full sun like more vegetables do. If you just have like at least 5 hours of sun, such as a windowsill or like a very sunny corner of your room, that could be a perfect place for your herb garden. You can start it from here, or you can have it in pots, and your herb garden is gonna be very much happy at home. Also, one of the questions that I get with gardening is like, how often should I water it? There is always remember the rule of thumb? This is gonna be the rule of index. So practically you're just gonna stick your index finger up to your first knuckle of the soil. And if you can feel moisture, like it's good, like it's okay, you don't need to water it. But if it feels dry and it can like easily just go away, then it's not such a good idea. So I hope that you guys enjoy this little medicinal herb workshop. Please feel free to shoot me any questions that you may have. I actually have an Instagram account, it's just my name. So you can feel free to add me. I usually tend to have a lot of meatless recipes. I tend to give a lot of how to clean your household without chemicals, and I practically just use vinegar and essential oils. And as well, I'm always willing to share and promote any resources that you have to make our lives healthier, the environment healthier, and for us to have a better world. Thank you.
All right. Let me just get on here. That was great, Frida. I'm trying to find my, I've used Zoom so many times, and yet I still can't find my, that's strange. Sorry. Well, let me, I'm trying to find, I can't find my camera, but you could hear me, correct? I hope everyone can hear me. Yes. Okay, great. That was a wonderful, I'm going to throw out some questions here that appeared. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. I've only used Zoom a million times. Okay. Thank you so much, Frida. A couple of questions that we got in the Q&A, and I invite everybody. There's a bunch that are going to be coming through, so I'm just going to answer them in order. And if for some reason I didn't get to it, 2 questions, feel free to ask again if I'm missing it or if I incorrectly pose these questions. So first question asks about mixing peppermint oil with carrier oil. So it says, how do you recommend mixing peppermint oil with carrier oil before putting it directly on the skin? And this is Gina Flores, and she says, I found that it stings a little bit, so I mix it with coconut oil. Oh, and you're on mute too.
Yes.
Okay,
I was just taking a second to think about it.
Sure.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Thank you, Gina. So to be quite honest with you, do you recommend mixing peppermint oil with a carrier oil before putting? Okay. Yes, I have experienced that actually a couple nights ago. There was an evil mosquito in my room. And then, I went and I got some of my essential oils, which I always have them here. And yes, it is true. Sometimes it can sting a little bit on your skin. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing to put it with some coconut oil. I think she was more like sharing her experience. I have not tried it, but it is true. It actually stings a little bit. So if you're a little bit sensitive, I actually just do like 2 drops. But if that is too much for you, feel free to just mix it with coconut oil. Coconut oil is so good for your skin. Yeah. It's better for on top of you than in you. And yeah.
Okay. This is another question about well, there seems to be there's a wide variety of questions. So let me start with before we talk about the planting. Some questions we have questions about which you mentioned about seed spacing and all that. But someone asked about corn silk. I mean, how do you prepare that?
Yes, of course. And I also saw my friend Erin asking that question. Hello, potato. So practically, it's just like how you dehydrate any other herbs. I know I said it like super quick in the video. There is various ways to dehydrate your herbs. My favorite one is to seriously just have like a very sunny, somewhere where your plants are actually going to have like direct sunlight. I leave it on a plate and I let it, dry by nature. It takes like about 1 to 2 days. Or you could actually just set your oven at a very low temperature, which is 150, and just put the herbs and the Pelo, Elote, or corn silk in a 2-hour span. So just check on them every 2 hours. And if it's, it's really, every herb is different. I know that there's a lot of websites, but I just really watch my herbs. I personally just leave it on the counter. And then how to prepare. It's a very sustainable thing to do. And then how you boil it, is simply, you can actually just take it and put it into the hot water. When it comes to brewing many of your herbs, of course, first step is hot water. And then, like I share, you can actually purchase biodegradable bags, so you can have the tea infusers, which is, there's so many practical ones. And practically sort of what I have heard of, for me, I just like to leave the whatever I'm brewing into my tea. Something that I also like to share as like sustainability is like 1 bag of green tea can be good for the whole day. So don't feel that, you know, it's like 1 bag per drink, you know. I mean, your first drink is gonna be like the heaviest, or maybe, you know, you can just leave it in there for 1 to 2 minutes until you see like the color is what you want. You take it out and you can actually reuse the tea bags. So when it's like really cold, and right now I'm drinking my green tea. I usually just keep pouring hot water into it until like it just tastes like hot water. So yeah, that's the best way to just brew it. It's a lot of like personal taste, but I would say leave it at least 4 to 5 minutes. And when you start seeing that change, the water is changing the color. That means that it has released its goodness.
The essence, so someone has a question. You finished your presentation talking about planting. You know, you had the egg carton there, and someone had asked, Irma has asked about if you can grow all the herbs together in the same area or in a box plant. You know, you mentioned some of the, which I never knew mint and oregano were related. I didn't know that.
They're the family of Menta.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. It makes perfect sense. I guess they really are both. I think about them as cuttings. You know, where you could actually propagate them, and they're both pretty good at that. So that makes sense. So I mean, maybe talk a little bit about, if you can, about the
what is the best places. So definitely just what we said, oregano, just like I said, oregano and mint are cousins. So they're actually sort of like, they're going to take a lot of your space. So mint, that's something that we have experienced in the food garden at the Institute. It was planted in the soil, and it just like takes over. At the Wellness Garden, what we did, we actually have them in planters, or like in boxes that don't have access to expand. So it's more contained. So oregano and mint, they're going to take over everything. So if you have like a very small garden, I would suggest just a pot. It's sufficient, or like a 2x2 box, and that will be perfectly fine. A lot of those herbs actually like need their space. So the ideal thing is that if you have a mature plant, to actually just have a pot for each one of them. But you can also, I know for lemon verbena, it's going to get really big. Rosemary and lavender, they all get big. They're like bushes practically. But the ones that you can grow together, I would say would be, I would say chamomile is a really nice companion plant. It's very sweet, you know. It doesn't take a lot of space. It won't take other plants space. Too, right? It has really nice flowers. It's a very nice plant.
But I want to shade.
And what I will suggest is practically, my idea will be to just have in like an individual containers. That's actually what we have in the Wellness Garden, in which we have them in their own separate 2x2 boxes, or like in a separate pot. I see that it's a very fun thing to do with kids, in which like you can buy the pots, you know, just like this, I don't know, like 12 inches diameter. That would be good. And you can actually decorate them, you know, it's like, this is mint, this is oregano. Because if you're gonna put it in a garden box, one plant may take over the whole space. If you just let them grow, they're gonna grow. Most herbs, like I said, is one of the most satisfying things to grow, because they just give and give.
They're amazing. Like you said, you're so, we have a balcony, we have an apartment, we have them hanging in a little off the edge of the balcony, and it's like oregano, you just keep cutting it and it just keeps coming back, and it's amazing. You don't have to do much. And it adds so much to your, whatever you're doing too, whether it's tea or cooking or just smelling it, it's wonderful.
Just smelling it is super good. But what I try to inspire you to do today is to really just think of, you know, a cup of tea in the morning. That is not just your caffeine boost, but it can actually, you know, be medicinal for you. It can help you with some weight loss goals. It can help you, you know, if you're having menstrual cramps. It can help you if you really ate something that you shouldn't.
Right.
You know, we all have like that one heavy, salty, fatty meal, and we're like,
right.
oh, I think I need something, you know, and you go straight into the, you know, the medicine cabinet and try to pull something when you can actually just have a very nice, a very nice tea.
Yeah.
I also saw some things in the chat that.
Can I ask you a question about? As we're looking, because I'm looking through these as well, but this is kind of a bigger question. It's about you. You know, I think, you know, we, you know, at the Institute, we're always excited to work with you, and we're just curious as to, you know, the way you framed your presentation is, you know, it's about your family, your culture, right? Environmental justice. And this is, of course, what we're really interested in. And you mentioned, I never knew about the aloe. That's really interesting about as it being a
It was
purifier.
a NASA study. It's really good. Let me put it. Yeah, because you know how they're trying to like colonize the moon?
Yeah, as one of the, oh, wow.
So they're trying to think like what plants should we take into space so they produce oxygen, and Aloe Vera made it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So there's some specific questions that I'll ask in a second. I see them in the chat, but I wanted to add, maybe you could, what are you going to be researching at Oregon State? I think some of us would be curious, you know, global health, and what aspect, what area what makes you, we obviously see you're very passionate, and you tell a great story, and we want to know what you're going to be working on. What are you thinking about?
Well, we're still in like the very early stages. You know, I just got accepted, and I know some of my friends already know that I unfortunately had to defer like one quarter just because of pandemic, and my husband is not currently in the country. So I'm just trying to like, oh my goodness, moving in the middle of a pandemic is not a great idea.
Exactly.
But something that I'm very passionate about, and I actually have made some amazing friendships, is through the Food Recovery Network, because one of my great passions is food security. So practically my research is going to be focusing on the impact of COVID-19 and food security in community of color, because you know, we just really need to understand what happened, like what is going to be the aftermath. I think the pandemic just uncovered the curtain and the huge problem of food insecurity, in which I think our country is not ready to take emergencies. Our people are not prepared, you know, to what to do when you cannot go to the grocery store. And, you know, the Institute has been doing such an amazing job. As like, we had a really great answer that it's actually not, it's not a new thing. You know, it happened during World War II, which is the Victory Gardens, and how to, you know, help alleviate symptoms through the use of medicine and food, which is the ultimate source of health. So those are like the most details I have, of course. I'm
wonderful.
Talking to my advisor.
Right. Well, we know whatever you do is going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a question about, someone asked about, well, first, if you can't grow herbs, do most stores carry them? And then another question about washing. Do you wash the herbs before cooking, or putting them in tea, or you just, you know, that maybe the question is like, is anything taken away when you wash it? You know, like some things, if you wash it, you do lose some flavor, maybe not. Is that the same thing for herbs? Yeah,
definitely. That is a really good thing. That's a really good question. Food safety should be one of our priorities. I would say, you know, you should rinse it for sure. Rinse it with cold water. If you're talking about washing it with a soap, I will not recommend that. I just practically, honestly, just rinse it with cold water, making sure that it doesn't have any friends, you know, still crawling in there. I personally, I do not use soap in any of my washing, not even with my fruits and vegetables. My number one thing when it comes to vegetables like leafy greens is vinegar. That is always like the number one nature cleaners. And also as well, if you're very concerned, you know, maybe for food safety, and that's actually something I do, throw it in the boiling water. Remember that when you boil water, the hot temperatures kill the pathogenic elements. So, you know, have the water boiling, you know, you have boiling water, add your herbs and make sure that it boils for a little bit. So that way, it's brewing and boiling and killing all the insects that is happening.
Yeah.
And then, but then if you're just planning to dehydrate it, once again, if you're going to use the oven, the temperature is going to be hot enough that is going to kill some of the bad bacteria and pathogens. But yeah, if you're very much concerned about food safety, a really good thing to ensure you is that when you are introducing this into a very hot water or like a very hot environment, most of those little friends will be damaged by the heat.
Right. Heat kills a lot. Yeah. So,
yes, definitely.
So there's another question about local. I mean, these herbs you talk about, these are common. I mean, I know like a lot of them are on campus for free. If you, mint is everywhere, but I mean, those herbs you mentioned are pretty much available in almost any supermarket or even fruit stand or farmer's market, that kind of thing. Would you say?
Would I say maybe and maybe not?
Yeah.
I can only talk from my experience. I shop at the store Vallarta, so I am able to find them in the tea section. So most likely you'll be gonna be able to find them already as a dehydrated tea form, like chamomile or mint.
Right.
I know those definitely you can find them in a dry version of them, like in the spice rack. In the tea section. So yes, they are able to be purchased in most stores. Just don't expect them to be like just sitting there in the product section. You're gonna most likely going to be dehydrated. Yeah.
So I mean, is it better? Is it kind of like, this is my question. I use the herbs a lot, and sometimes I make Italian. I'm Italian, so we sauce once a week, pasta on Sunday. Make a fresh sauce, and it's oregano, basil, and sometimes I'll use. And I've heard different things. Some dried herbs. Some chefs swear by dried herbs. Some say it's got to be, fresh herbs. I like the fresh herb. I mean, it's just a personal. And is there any difference in, cooking with dried versus fresh? Does it make a difference, or it's just a personal preference?
I will have to get back to you, with more like evidence-based. As far as like I will come in my personal choice, it would just be preference. I know that when you treat things through heat, once again, you kill pathogens.
Right.
And there may be some molecular, disruption in many of the components of the herbs. So I think it really comes to like case by case. But in my personal, experience, preference, I really like fresh stuff.
It's the chef. If it's the whole thing. It's prepping
it's just very fresh. Yes, definitely. But like you said, like in your culture, Italians, it's easy to put like fresh oregano. But for us, like it's not so easy to put fresh oregano. Or like menudo. You just don't hear that. It has to be like
the dried, right.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I will say it really varies on a case by case. And if you're really going to like incorporate like an herb, I always encourage everyone to follow evidence-based facts. I know that somebody asked in the chat, what is a good resource? One of the websites that I use is called Organic Facts. So I'm gonna put it right here. Well, let me send you the link. I just don't know if it's net or .com. I really like that website because it is evidence-based. So that means that a food scientist or a registered dietitian confirms the claims on a regular basis. And they actually give you links to the journal articles in which you can find those things. It has amazing recipes. Once again, I am not gifted in soap making or lotion making. When it really comes to my skincare, the best thing that I do is like I seriously grab the tea with a reusable, pad and just put all over my face. You know, for me, fresh is better. And you know, when I need to hydrate my skin, you know, I will do the chamomile tea. You know, when I know that I've been working in the garden, I need like a refresher, I do like a mint tea. You know, a little bit of tea inside of me and a little bit of tea on top of me. But I know that AS Sustainability has been putting together like these workshops on like candle making, soap making, and all that. So it's always an amazing thing to have all these resources that CSUN has put together for us. And I already put the NASA study that is really fun to read, and I also put organic facts, and it has a little good recipes. Make sure to always check the references, just to make sure that you have all that.
We have a Chef Lisbeth says, fresh herbs in the sauce added towards the end. That's the trick, it seems. So thanks for that, Lisbeth.
She's a chef. Yeah, I always try to incorporate fresh herbs. I'm very much of a fresh herb person. Even though, like, for example, Mexican cuisine, we cook with a lot of different chiles. So, you know, some of them are fresh, some of them are dehydrated. But yeah, and I know there was like a question about a prescription medication. Yes, so there is something that is very well known in the world of nutrition and dietetics, which is food and medication interaction. So what I will say is that if you are taking prescription medicine, to always consult with your doctor. Because, you know, this is not medical advice, this is for a generally healthy population. You know, once again, females who we have to deal with that thing every 28 days or whenever it comes, you know, or having a mild cold or cutting yourself, you know, this is the type of medicine that I'm talking about, just to be more sustainable or more gentle with yourself. But when it comes to a prescription medicine, the better person to know is going to be your doctor, because your doctor really knows what you have, what you're doing, why he prescribed that. So totally go talk back to your doctor, and it can be a very simple email question. You know, I'm thinking of taking, I don't know, lemon verbena in the morning. Is there any action with this? You can go into OrganicNet, organicfacts.net. It has some research articles in which it actually gives you like the biochemical names of the elements that is in each of the plants. So you can ask your doctor this, you know, for example, for chilies, like capsaicin, those capsaicin interact with this medicine that I'm taking, right? So you want to make sure that you treat your doctor as your friend and as also as a person who is providing a service.
Well, we've reached the end of our time here. Does anyone have any other questions that we missed? I think we got to all the questions. So Frida, thank you so much. We really we appreciate your time. It was a beautiful video. We're going to put that on our recording on the website, and we look forward to seeing where all the great things you're going to be doing and where you're headed. You got lots of great wishes. Well, lots of congratulatory wishes on that. So a lot of our friends have come here. It was awesome to have you. And
thank you to my friends.
And everyone learned a lot, which is great. And just so for everybody, we want to let you know, and we'll just keep checking out our website. We're going to have another webinar next week. I think next week, and then we're going to have one after in 2 weeks. Next week is going to be another graduate student, Richard, who was a biology student who's going to be talking about biodiversity in our food campus garden. So keep plugged in, and we'll announce it on our Instagram page and all that too. So, and check out Frida's Instagram handle as well. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will see you all soon, and Frida, we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for coming today.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me.
We learned a lot. Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.